Hello, 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 and welcome. This is Her Talk Show. My name is Sabrina Victoria. Thank you so much for being here. I have Melissa here on screen. We're going to be talking all about networking. This is going to be so much fun. If you haven't already subscribed to Her Talk Show, now would be a great time to do it. These podcasts are guaranteed to have you thinking differently about life and business. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello and welcome. If you're listening live, I see you. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so I can send you some love in the comments. We've had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. We have Melissa Snow. What a cool last name. She is a business relationship strategist dedicated to empowering women in entrepreneurship. She founded the Powerful Women Rising community, which provides women with essential support and resources for business growth. Melissa's mission is to revolutionize networking, promoting authenticity and genuine connections over sleazy sales tactics. Girl, yes. She lives in Colorado Springs with her husband, 2 dogs, and 3 cats. Oh my. She loves iced coffee, true crime. What? A woman of my heart. Taylor Swift, and buying books she'll never read. Yes, on that. Welcome, lady.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Girl, we have so much in common. Low key, I don't know if I'd ever announce this in like public, but I'm low key a Taylor Swift fan also. So I don't really announce that from the rooftops, but I think she's cool. I think she's
It's
cool. I'm assuming
amazing.
you
Yeah,
watched.
you don't have to be low key about it. Yes,
I'm
Swiftie,
assuming.
own it.
I'm assuming you watched the Super Bowl or did you get in on all that? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
the
was.
Taylor Swift show where people were also playing football.
Yeah.
Yes, I did watch that.
I joked because I haven't watched football. My fiance doesn't watch football in years. I haven't. Well, even most people will like watch the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl. I haven't seen a Super Bowl in like 5 years, and I watched this year because of Taylor Swift. So too funny.
I think a lot of people watched this year because of Taylor Swift.
Yes, yeah, they said that. Yeah, most watched ever. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you here. I'm really excited on our subject, networking. This is like the blood and the air of my entire company. And I talk about this all the time. And there seems to be this wall up where like people want to make money, but they don't want to talk to people to make money. It's really weird. So I'm excited to hear from you and your experience on this. And I know that you emphasize a lot on networking and talking to people as a human. What does that even mean? Like, why are we saying this? Are you seeing something?
I've seen a lot of things. Yeah, it's funny you say that because that really is what all of my businesses have been built off of, and part of the reason that I started this business, Powerful Women Rising, is because I have been the person who paid $10,000 for a group coaching program, $25,000 for a certification, $5,000 for the class that's going to make all the difference. It's going to teach you how to go from 0 to 9 million in 90 seconds, and none of that ever worked. What really did work for me in terms of business growth and sustainable business growth was building relationships, making connections with people, and networking. But I want to be really clear, when I say networking, that means something different than what a lot of people think when they hear networking. Because a lot of people think like, oh, I hate networking, right? Because we think that means I'm going to a networking event where I wear a business business card. Please don't wear a business card. Although if you're a salesy weirdo, you might. I wear a name tag. Right? I make a whole shirt out of business cards. I wear a name tag and I pass out my business cards and I make small talk with people. That's basically just like, what do you do? Oh, what do I do? Who can I refer to you? And then we both forget the other person existed after we walk away, right? Like that's how a lot of networking is. And when
Yep.
I talk about networking, networking really is anything that you're doing that is creating a connection with another person. So it
Mm,
doesn't even necessarily have to happen at a networking event or in a networking group. I do a lot of networking on social media. I know you do a lot of networking in your group and on social media and on LinkedIn. And so networking really can be anywhere that you are creating connections with people, but the key is the intention that you're doing it with, right? For me, it's always my intention is to show up authentically, to listen to what other people are saying, to find ways that I can provide value to them without expecting something back in return. I'm not showing up to create these connections with the intention of selling them something or getting something from them or using them in some way, right? So
mm.
that really is what I mean when I talk about networking like a human and not like a salesy weirdo. It's like we're just two people having a conversation, getting to know each other, seeing how we can support each other in business. We're not here trying to sell each other something or take from each other or get from each other.
Yes, absolutely 100%. Now, I'm going to throw a little rock here. Because you said two things, and I understand, but other people might not.
Mhm.
You said to network with intention. And at the same time, you said something to the effect of, not trying to put words in your mouth, um, not with like no agenda, basically.
Mhm.
So, like, we're just two people, we're just connecting. So, where is the line there as far as like with intention, authentic, being authentic, or like with intention, which to me means for a reason, and then
Mhm.
also being authentic, a real person? How do we mesh intention with authenticity in a real world situation? Like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, that's a big part of the reason that I created the Powerful Women Rising community because there are networking groups that are really focused on connection and who are you as a human. And we don't want to know about your business until we know about you as a person. And it's almost like you feel like talking about your business there is bad, right? Like you can't even say that you have a business or you are the salesy weirdo. And then there's other networking groups that are very transactional, very like we keep track of how many people have you referred and how many people have you met with and how much money have you made. And we don't care what's happening in your personal life. We just want to know if you're referring people to us.
Wow,
And
yeah.
so I really was trying to create a space that is somewhere in the middle where you can show up authentically, you can be known as a real human, and also we don't have to pretend like we don't have businesses. We don't have to pretend like we're here just to make friends and we're not here to grow our business. But also, I think it's important to keep in mind the purpose of networking. The purpose of networking is not to find clients and make sales. The purpose of networking is to grow your network. And yes, one of the results of that is going to be that you are going to find clients and make sales, right? But when you're networking, your purpose is to grow your network. And there's a lot of different roles that can be filled in your network, right? So there are people who will support you. There are people that you can call when you're like, this is terrible. I'm going to go get a job at Target. There are people you can call when you're like, I can't figure out why nothing is working. And so there's more to build. I don't know what just happened.
I see you. Okay,
I see you too.
the last thing I heard is um when you want to quit everything, start working at Target and nothing's working.
Yeah. So that really is what I mean when I talk about going in with an intention, is going in with the intention of growing your network and being
Got it.
open to the idea when you're having conversations like this person I'm talking to could fill any role in my network, or she may not belong in my network, but I don't know until I sit down and have a conversation with her as a human.
100%. I absolutely love that. Um, when I go to networking events, I love networking events. I know a lot of people don't love them. I always set an intention for myself as far as the amount of real connections that I want to make versus just like I'm trying to find my best friend when I go to a networking event. Like that's it. I'm not trying to connect with as many people as I can or like all the people. It's just like I am there to find my best friend. Like who is that one person that's like my person? And when we meet,
Mhm.
there's an electricity there and I know that, I can bring her in and everything will be lollipops and unicorns. Um I like what you're saying as far as this person can be anywhere, though. I think that's one thing that we don't necessarily think of. So when you're saying anywhere, are you talking to people at line at Starbucks?
I mean,
Is this like birthday parties with the kids? Like, what does this look
I
like in
do.
Melissa Snow's real life?
I do talk to people pretty much everywhere I go, depending on the mood I'm in. I mean, I have my moods. But that's more just because that's my personality. So I think it's important to know that you can still network effectively, even if that's not your personality. Like, even if you're not the kind of person who's going to just like walk up and start a conversation with somebody, or you're not particularly outgoing, or you're more like on the shy side or the introverted side, you can still network. You just have to find the people who are like you.
Yeah.
So that and that's exactly what you're saying, right? When you're talking about going and finding your best friend, it's like you're looking for the person that you vibe with, that is on your level. So I always tell the people who are super shy that go to networking events, like look for the one other person in the room who is also super shy and uncomfortable, because they are going to love you for coming and talking to them, right? And you've got a very easy in, like, hey, isn't this like really stressful? And they're like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. I thought I was the only person here stressed, right? And now you've got like an instant bond with them. So I want people
Yeah.
to know you don't have to be like Sabrina and I. You don't have to be like, bah, I want to be everybody's friend in order to be successful at networking. You can be and should be yourself and still be able to attract the right people to you.
Yes. 100%. Yes. To go along with that also, just for another little slip of the, trickery there, just looking for people who have things on them, like pins or colors or slogans or whatever it is also a very easy in. Like, we were just talking about Taylor Swift, like, you see somebody wearing a Taylor Swift pin or shirt or, um, it's an easy in to be able to strike up a conversation, to be like, "Hey, I'm a Swiftie too."
Yeah.
To be able to actually start the camaraderie there. So those that are having a little bit of issues with that, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you make it fun. I know you talk a lot about, it's fun and effective. For those that maybe just don't necessarily see that, or those who are part of BNIs, where you would not necessarily say a BNI is fun, but there is
Mhm.
always that one person that's smiling and laughing.
It's got its
Um, what's
moments.
what's your trick? What's your trick so that it's both?
Honestly, it really is about being yourself, because what I think is fun might not be what you think is fun, right?
Yeah.
And there are people who think BNI is great fun. I have had moments of fun at BNI meetings. Um, but overall, it's not super fun for me. I just recently went to a networking group. I was speaking there, and they have a ton of members. So they have 5 different meetings with about 30 people at each meeting. And everybody does their introductions. But I knew I was going to be talking about myself when it was my turn to speak. So instead, when it was my turn to do my introduction, I told them all these really interesting facts that I had learned about roly polies listening to this podcast on my way to the meeting. And listen, it was great fun for me. And everybody was laughing. Half the people were laughing because it was like, what is this lady talking about? Like, what the hell's going on right now? But that is very me. Like the people in that room who knew me were like, yes, of course she's talking about roly-polies during her 30 seconds. So that really is like how you make it fun, is by being yourself and by finding the people who think the same things that are fun as you, right? Like there are networking events that are really focused around alcohol. They happen in the evenings, they take place at bars, everyone is drinking. That's super fun to a lot of people. That's not super fun to me. So those aren't necessarily the events that I would go to or the people that I would gravitate towards. So I always tell people, like, I used to be a dating and relationship coach, and my clients, when we were working on their online dating profiles, would always say, like, I don't want to put that on my online dating profile because I don't want to turn people off. And I was always like, no, you do want to turn people off. Like that is just as much the goal as turning people on, right? And it's the same way with networking. Like there were people, I guarantee, in that room who were like, I don't know why this lady is talking about roly-polies, but she's a freaking weirdo and I want nothing to do with her. And that is great for me because those weren't ever going to be my people anyway, right? So by showing up as myself, doing what I think is fun, I'm attracting the people who think the same things are fun, and I'm repelling the people who don't think it's fun. And that's a good thing.
Absolutely. That's good. Why were we talking about roly-polies?
Honestly, I discovered this podcast called Stuff You Should Know, and I was listening to it on my way to the first meeting, and that episode was about roly-polies. And I mean, I won't get into it, but they're actually very fascinating.
What? I kind of forgot about roly-polies. When you first said it, I'm like, what the frick is a roly-poly? It took me a second to remember.
Well,
From when I
apparently
was
people call them a
little.
lot of different things.
Okay, got it.
They have a lot of names. I only know them as roly-polies. So you guys will
Yes.
have to Google that and find
Yes.
out.
Yes. That's great. I love that. Business cards. What's your take on business cards? We're moving into the tech age. When we're talking in-person networking, what should we be prepared with? How should we show up to our networking events in today's day and age?
Yeah. I don't love paper business cards. I have not met anyone who is like, oh, I have a great filing system and a great way to keep in touch with all the people who have given me business cards. And here they are right here. I know who all these people are, right? Like most people either say, I leave a networking event and then I feel bad because I throw away all the business cards. Or often people will say to me, like, I have a stack of business cards sitting on my desk and I don't know what to do with them. So I have a dot card, and I swear I should have an affiliate link with them because I tell everyone to get a dot card. Have you heard of them?
Probably. Go ahead.
It's like an electronic business card. So they have like a little like circle thing that looks like this that you can put like stick on your phone or wherever that people can just like get close to. Or they have like an actual card that people can scan the QR code and you can automatically program like whatever information you want people to have. So it's almost like a link tree. And then when someone scans it, all your contact information gets saved onto their phone. So they have your website, your email, maybe your podcast, your Facebook, like all of your stuff. So I really like that. Another thing you can do that's just as easy is and a little simpler is make a contact in your phone that is you, that has your like Melissa Snow phone number, email address, whatever it is that you want them to have. And that way, when they want to keep in touch with you, you can just send them that contact. So that's also an easy way to do it. But the biggest thing is I take so many notes when I meet people. Like either I'll write it in my phone, or if they give me a paper business card, I'll write it on there. Or if we're at a meeting that I have like a roster or something, I'll make notes on there because number one, I have an incredibly short memory. So as soon as I get home, I'll be like, who was this person? Why did I want to get in touch with her? Right. So I'll make myself notes about like, oh, I wanted to connect her with so-and-so about this thing. Or, she also fosters kittens. So that's something we have in common. So then when I do my follow-up, I can like actually reference something specific and personal. And I think that really helps people. Number one, it jogs their memory of like, oh yeah, that's who you are. But also it helps people feel like, oh, she actually like saw me and heard me and listened to me and like cared enough about what I said to follow up with me about it, which means a lot to people. I feel like now more than ever, people are so desperate to be heard and acknowledged and seen that when you can do something like that, or even if it's just like, hey, I was really touched by what you said about your daughter in your introduction or something like that, that means a lot to people and is a really great way to start connections with people.
Mm. I absolutely love that. What do you prefer? Do you prefer in person or virtual? Is there a benefit to one over the other? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, uh, there's pros and cons to each. Virtual is nice because it's nice to not have to leave your house. It's not have to nice to not have to put on hard pants. That's what we call them, at least. I don't know if other people call them hard pants. I hate hard pants. But it's been hard for me. Part of the reason I started running my own virtual speed networking events is because it was really hard for me to find good virtual networking events. When you're virtual, it's really easy. People like to turn their cameras off. People like to have their camera on, but they're clearly doing something else and not paying attention. And it's just a different kind of connection than when you are knees to knees with someone, you know?
Totally.
So there are benefits to virtual for sure. And if it's a good virtual event, I love it. But there's nothing like being in the room with someone and actually being able to like feel their energy and see their whole body. Like I see people out there like, oh, I had no idea you were so tall. And I'm like, I know, I bet you didn't know I had legs either, but I do. Surprise. Because they've only ever seen me from here up. Um,
Totally.
but yeah, I mean, there are pros and cons to both, but I don't recommend doing all virtual because there's just something about being with people that I think we need and benefit from. And I think we forgot we needed it during COVID when we were all in our house for 2 years. We got really used to just being in our house alone.
Yeah,
Um, but the more you go out and do it, the more you're going to remember why it's actually a good thing to be with people.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think networking is so important to grow a business? What's your past experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think networking, one of the definitions of networking, like in the dictionary, is something along the lines of a broadcast system of multiple transmitters. And I love that definition because that really epitomizes like how networking works. So if I have, let's say, 100 people in my audience, and I have an important message for them. I can share that message with the 100 people in my audience, and 100 is a great reach. But if I've also created a relationship with you and you have 100 people in your audience and are willing to share my message, I've now doubled the amount of people who are hearing my message without me actually having to go and do more work, right? Like I didn't
Mm,
have to show up at 3 different networking events to meet those 100 people and have 90 coffee dates to get them to know, like, and trust me.
yeah,
They are already listening to what I have to say because they know, like, and trust you, and you know, like, and trust me.
yeah.
So it really is like a compounding effect. And the best part of it is when you have people in your network who are sharing what you do, sharing what you offer, singing your praises, sending people to you, those people are coming to you as warm leads without you ever having met them before, without you ever having had a conversation with them before, right? And it's
Yeah,
obviously much easier to sell to someone who already is halfway there when they get to you because someone they trust has told them, this is great, she's wonderful, this is what you need. And there's no other
100%.
method of marketing like that.
Yeah, this is actually reminding me of a hilarious story. when I first started my business, everything I did was cold calls. It was just I was just dropping in people's DMs cold, getting on them cold. I was having to super sell them on like who I was and what I was doing. When I say sell them, not actually sell them, just like sell them on me, like get on
Yeah.
my podcast or follow me or something small. I wasn't like cold selling from DMs,
Yeah.
although some people do that. Since then, growing my network years later and getting so many referrals, I have forgotten the like hardness of the know, like, and trust without a referral. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten kind of soft. So it's been funny as I'm still, like I still go out and I still, do networking or do, call or DMs or cold DMs or whatever it is, but not nearly as much as I want to. And it's always a little hit to my ego as far as like, you don't know who I am, even though
Yeah.
I'm like not even anybody. But I'm so used to my girls or my community pushing me up so much that people will actually get on a call with me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited to meet you." And I'm like, "Who, little me?"
Yeah.
And then getting on cold calls with people and they're just over it. They're just like, "Who are you? What do you want? What is
Yeah.
this? What is going on?" So yeah, what you're talking about as far as growing your network, not selling those people, but growing it is imperative to your business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny.
very cool.
I have a friend who is also an entrepreneur and she's also a former teacher. I was a teacher in like 4 lifetimes ago. And she was like, I didn't know how hard it was going to be. I mean, I don't think any of us knew how hard it was going to be when we
Totally.
started our businesses, but she's like,
Right.
it was so much easier when I was a teacher because like a school bus would just show up every day full of my clients, right? And all my clients would get off. I would give them the service I provided. They'd get back on the school bus. They'd go back home. They'd come back the next day. She's like, where is the school bus full of clients? But I'm like, I feel like networking is the key to the school bus full of clients, right? They may come one at a time. I don't think they're coming in an entire bus, but it's the
Yes.
next best thing, maybe.
Yes. Oh, that is great. That is great. I want to ask just a personal question between you and I. Have you figured out a way to network? Like I do a bunch of one-on-ones, right? I do the networking in whole, and then it's like jump on a call and let's do one-on-ones. And those are getting to be extremely exhausting for me. Have you come up with a trick yet on how to sit with like maybe two people at a time or three
Hmm.
people at a time? Or is it just one-on-ones? How are you navigating that? Are you still in the same boat?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I teach people something that I also used with my dating coaching clients, but I call them networking circles. So there's like a big circle and then all the little circles. It's like a funnel looking from the top. And when I used it with my dating coaching clients, it was like, okay, out here are all the people on the dating app. And then maybe the next layer is people who you have swiped right on who have also swiped right on you. And then the next layer is people that you've messaged with. Maybe the next layer you do a video chat. Maybe the next layer you do like a phone call, right? So each layer, the criteria is changing and what you're offering is changing until you get to whatever the goal is, which obviously for them was like a committed relationship. So in networking, it works very similarly. Outside of the circle, outside of the big circle is everybody that you meet at a networking event or in life. And then the little circles, like my first circle is always a 30-minute Zoom. And I'm toying with the idea of changing it to a 20-minute Zoom, but we'll see because 20 minutes would probably end up being 30 minutes anyway. But 30-minute Zoom is all I offer to people if we've never had a conversation before, right? Because even if they live in the same town as me, if I don't know you, I'm not super clear on your intention, why it is you want to talk to me. Do you have the same idea of networking as I do? Or are you just trying to like sell me your thing or get me on your team? I'm not going to spend 20 minutes driving to the coffee shop, $6 on a cup of coffee, an hour
Totally.
sitting there listening to you pitch me, and 20 minutes to drive home, right? Like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
So 30-minute Zoom is what I offer. If after that 30-minute Zoom, I feel like it's a good fit and I want to see if this person can belong in my network somewhere, then maybe I will offer like a one-on-one meeting in person or on Zoom, or maybe I will offer them like a small group connect or something like that. But the important thing I think to realize is not everyone has to keep moving through the funnel, right? Like
Mm,
not everyone has to get a 30-minute Zoom. It's okay to say, thanks so much for reaching out. I don't have the capacity for that right now. I will definitely let you know if and when that changes. And it's
mm,
also okay to keep people in that first layer, right? A lot of people are going to be the people that you do the 30-minute Zoom with, and that's it. They don't keep moving along. And that
yeah.
doesn't make you a bad person. You're not missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Like you get to decide your own criteria for who moves through, but you have to
Mm,
know, like, there has to be criteria. Not everyone gets to
yeah.
come in. And
Yeah.
I love a group connect. Like I will always ask people if they reach out and want to have a one-on-one with me, I will be like, that would be awesome. Is it cool if I invite a couple other female entrepreneurs who are also looking to grow their network? And usually people will say yes. Sometimes people will say no, and that's fine. They get a 30-minute one-on-one with me and it's no big deal. But I always make that offer because I feel like everyone's in the same boat. Like everyone wants to meet people but doesn't have time. And
Yeah.
so usually people are game to get on a call with a couple other people because who knows? I might not be the right person for their network, but one of those people might.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
a
what I was
huge time
thinking.
saver.
Yeah. That's the whole thing for sure.
Hmm.
Well, this has been delightful. So appreciate you being here. For those listening live, thank you so much for being here and hanging out. Melissa Snow, where can people find you? Where do you hang out the most on social media? What's your website?
Yeah. So my website is under construction right now. It should be done in the next couple weeks, but it's powerfulwomenrising.com. If you want to learn more about the Powerful Women Rising community, you can go to powerfulwomenrising.com/join PWRC, and that will at least get you to the page about the community. But I would love to connect with you on Instagram. I am at Powerful Women Rising. You can check out my podcast, also called Powerful Women Rising. But Instagram is where I spend most of my time.
Beautiful, 100%. The link is also in a clickable link in the description wherever you're watching this at. So if you're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on SoundCloud, on iTunes, just scroll the description. You'll see that link. Click on it in order to find out more about Melissa Snow and the goodness that she does in the arena of networking. This has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out. I am all about networking. I think that there needs to be more conversations about just how important this is and how easy it is for what comes out of it, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
not always the most comfortable for some people. It's not always like easy, but when you're comparing it to like other things, um, it's a total game changer for our businesses for sure. Any
Absolutely.
closing thoughts, Melissa, as we wrap up here?
Um, I would just say whatever resistance you are having listening to this, like I get what she's saying, but not me. Or like
Mm,
I get what she's saying, but I've never been to a networking event like that. Or that's easy for her to say because she's X, Y, and Z. I promise you, there is a space for you in the networking community. There is a place for you. There are people for you to connect with, no matter who you are, whether you are right at the beginning of building a business, whether you've been in business for 20 years. It's still important for you at any stage, and your people are out there. So even if you've had some bad experiences with networking that weren't effective or weren't fun, don't give up. There are other things to try. There are things that you can tweak. There are things that you can try doing differently, and you will find your space. You will find the way to make it work.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank
To
you
those
for
of
having
you,
me. This was great.
yes, to those of you resonating with all the goodness that Melissa shared today, make sure you find her on social and on her website. That brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode of her talk show. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end. Remember to follow, like, and share. Once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way by having